Yeah. Come on. Come on. Yeah. Come on.
Hello, everyone. We are live yet again, coming at you with another video.
Hello, everybody.
How are you all doing? All 8 of you, just 8. Everybody, all 8 of you, share the stream. Record lows, guys.
Record lows.
Why do I have the urge to grab some glow sticks and dance?
I have the urge to have an epileptic fit.
Huh. A lot like
Yeah.
Testify.
Yeah, only it'd be real.
Only it would be real.
Yes.
And we have quite the show for you guys today. We
do.
Okay, Vicky?
I'm going to talk over you as much as I can.
I'm sorry,
That's my goal
did you
for
have
the
something
evening.
to say? Did you have something you wanted to say?
Yes, I do. Hello.
Well,
the
nobody
real
cares,
official
Vicky. I'm
amazing-
muting you. Oh, yeah, look at that. Vicky, you just can't talk now. I muted her, guys. Thank God. No, she's back. But we have a wonderful show for you guys. Last week we talked about Richard C. Meyer and his porno. And this week we have EVS somewhat talking about it. Somewhat. And, you know, before we get into what the second topic is, let's just quickly check out that first topic. And there's our JDA.
Aww.
I know. It is
So happy on his little tippy toes.
but he's still crying too. That's the best part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'd cry too if I was JDA.
Shit.
Okay.
The thing about this is that the truth of the matter is that many of us, like old school comic skaters, like who've been here. Now, Kelsey, did this catch you by surprise, or did you know about this?
No, I mean, I did not know about it, nor did it catch me by surprise. nothing much
Okay.
surprises me
All
anymore.
right. Yeah. We knew about it, obviously.
Yeah, I suspected once certain things started coming out, other things started making more sense. I'm like,
Now, do you understand why Zach might be backing away from comic skate a little bit, away from, the culture war doesn't mean anything. So I'll just let the chat ask me questions. Okay, because I don't want to. My thing about this is that although Zach and I are not really friends anymore, I sort of decided to wash my hands of Zach after the whole, he made a video that really seemed like it was saying, not only do I not want to ever live stream with you again, but kind of fuck you. I never understand what goes through his head. Like, I project qualities of Jeff Johns onto Zach that I don't think are really there. People want me to make statements about the weirdest shit. I don't know that I have to, but it seems like everybody else has, and everybody else has their rush to judgment. Zach has endured more bullshit on the internet than I think any one of us has, except for maybe me. But I mean, almost everybody. You can't even comprehend what it's like to have 75% of the pop culture world trying to destroy your
But,
life.
a guy had been
And
through several wars.
75%.
He's used to being in the heat, in the
But
shit.
I'm sorry. 99% of the pop culture world doesn't even know who Richard C. Meyer is. Like,
99.999%.
yeah. This is a
Yeah.
very niche. I wouldn't even consider comics a part of pop culture anymore. Very niche, though, if it is.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I mean,
it is as far as the movies and
Oh yeah, but that's
TV
like
and
a
stuff.
completely different thing entirely. But yeah.
he was able to kind of laugh off a lot of that stuff, but I guess they got him by the balls.
He's told me about this. A little bit of info, but I know much more than I can say. Okay, let's just put it that way. Now, here's the other thing. Like, it's hard to say whether or not, somebody stumbled upon this, or if somebody knew, because lots of people knew.
Right.
And there are people who knew who Zach thought were his friends, who turns out they weren't his friends, and were holding it over his head a little bit. Okay, threatening
Do we know
to make.
who?
Yes.
I'm more interested in that than in
I'm not going to even get started with it, but they're no friends of mine.
I'll dig it out.
Of mine. So there's a little bit of that going on where it's kind of like early on, people would make oblique references to this, and a lot of this, I really feel, it's my opinion, drove Zach off of Twitter, drove Zach further away from the movement that he started, because these people, like, he was afraid of this coming out. This is his worst nightmare that's happening right now. No, see, people knew, but they didn't have it. See, the problem is some people had it. Like, they heard about it, etc., but they couldn't find it. This is the kind of thing that, it's like how you deal with it, how you behave, how you react to it, is whether it's going to kind of just fizzle out or whether it's going to, get bigger. So Henry Thrun says DNV Investigations did a detailed video about Zach's porn.
Yeah, shout out to D&D Investigations. Way better than whatever the fuck that was from Ethan.
Yeah, it was
People
like
knew
this...
about it. Maybe they had it. I know who had it, but maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. He was scared, right? It makes sense now, right? Like, I know what happened. Like, okay,
it's
so
all...
what? Yeah. Like, come on, bro. You're not fooling anybody.
He's trying to implicate war campaign, right?
Is he?
Somehow.
Because that was a terrible job, if that's...
They're not friends of mine, right?
Yeah, neither is the industry. Like, I thought it was industry people. I thought that's what he was trying to get at.
No.
You're probably right, but I'm like,
Of course.
Many people aren't friends with Ethan. Anybody with half a brain isn't friends with Ethan. Even your cuck Zach, who's like brain dead, knows not to be friends with Ethan. Like, that's,
Yeah. The implication that somehow his enemies in Comicsgate, like, really, because that's what he's implying, right? That it was like his enemies in Comicsgate were, holding it over his head. Like, okay, that explains nothing. Like,
not only that, I feel like if War Campaign had it, man, there's plenty of opportunities. They would have released it.
They would have dropped that shit after the lawsuit. Well, I mean, they are a little slow. The account that dropped it on Kiwi Farms was a brand new account. Right. Their post was very, I don't understand the grammar of Kiwi Farms. And by grammar, I just mean the way that things work there.
Yeah.
The initial post was just shit. And then they went silent for a while. They showed back up again, I guess today, maybe late last night. Just to say I just stumbled upon it. I was like literally just watching porn and I found it. And it looked like that. Now, I don't know if I
that
believe
actually
that.
is totally possible though.
It's possible. It's very possible.
Yeah, like, I mean, it is porn out there on the internet. Somebody really could have just been like, holy shit, that's your cuck Zach.
Right. It's been out there for at least a decade. It's gonna, if that kind of kink porn is your thing, you're gonna stumble across it.
Yeah.
You just are. Whether or not it was somebody who's been holding it over his head, I don't know, but let's be
Doubtful.
real. Like, why the fuck would he have been telling people about it anyway? I
I
mean,
mean, he's not the smartest person,
he's
Vicky.
not the smartest bulb on the brightest bulb on the tree. I get that. But do you just tell people you don't really know that you were like an extra, you know, porno? I mean, it's just unless it's some weird getting drunk braggadocious thing that guys do. I mean, Dark Gift would certainly, but would most normal guys do
Yeah, I
that? I
feel like
don't.
most normal guys, if they did, that would come up in conversation.
If it was something he was ashamed of and didn't want getting out, would you be telling people?
I mean, yeah,
I
I
mean,
feel like
that's
most guys, like
I mean, you might talk about it, sure, but obviously if you're gonna be bragging about it or telling people about it, how ashamed of it can you actually be,
yeah, Big Daddy says
right?
Dark Grift was the fluffer on set.
Mm.
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting.
I don't know, but the whole Ethan's total response to it was just kind of bullshit. Um,
Without a doubt.
today, yeah, and he's still quote answering questions about it on Kiwi Farms. I mean, he did an 11-hour cope stream last night over something, who knows what, but yeah. And today he's doing he's taken some victory laps, Ethan.
Yeah.
So, we could talk about that, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, we can. Let's see here.
We'll get it. So, today, a little bit of backstory here for those who haven't been following or don't actually watch my content. Um, in an effort to, um quickly win the trademark case before the USPTO Board of Appeal, Poulter filed for reexamination, which is a new procedure. It sends it to a examiner. They relook at everything with whatever evidence you're presenting to show that it was fraudulent or was never in use or anything along those lines, right? And so it went back to the reexaminer. And unfortunately for Poulter, because Malpica, who didn't get a book out before the deadline, licensed the trademark to Dark Gift, and people actually bought Dark Gift's art book, which had the trademark on it. Yeah, yeah, I can't believe how many people actually bought that. Um, the examiner today filed a notice of termination of proceeding, and what that actually is a notice of a termination of the reexamination. Um, upon review of the evidence of record, the USPTO determined that registrant, which would be Malpica slash Van Skyver, because Malpica gave the trademark to Ethan last year, has demonstrated use of the mark in commerce for all goods subject to the proceeding. The evidence and arguments provided by the registrant demonstrates valid use of the relevant goods in interstate commerce. Registrant has also established that the relevant goods were provided through trade channels that directly affect interstate commerce during the period of time relevant to this proceeding. Accordingly, no change is required to the registration, um, and the proceeding is terminated. So, Poulter lost twice in a week. Um, what happens now is the Board of Appeal, the USPTO Board of Appeal, will restart their proceeding because it was suspended for this reexamination. And two basically there were 3 counts. So 2 of the counts were regarding use of the trademark. Those have been squashed by this reexamination proceeding that Poulter requested that he lost. The 3rd count is fraud. Now, I don't know how Poulter expects to prove fraud when obviously the mark was used in commerce.
Yeah.
So proving fraud for Poulter is going to be very difficult.
Yeah, Bubba Fett asked, does this mean that when Preston put Comicsgate on any of his books that he was in violation of copyright? That appears to be the case as far
That
as I know.
appears to be the case. As a matter of fact, we hadn't really talked about it on our channel, but Poulter filed the exact same suit he filed against us and Ethan in Texas in New Jersey. And there's actually tons more things he's trying to say Ethan did. There's like 24 counts, something crazy like that. And last month, Ethan and his attorneys filed a counterclaim. And their counterclaim is for malicious use of process, which would just be Poulter's suing him, period, and trademark counterfeiting, trademark infringement, and false designation of origin. The trademark counterfeiting and trademark infringement could cost Poulter anywhere between $200,000 and $2 million, depending on what the court decides. So they're saying that Malpica never actually lost the trademark, right? Nowhere along the way did Malpica technically lose the trademark. He still had it when Preston filed for the trademark and started slapping Comicsgate TM on his comic books. So that would be the trademark counterfeiting that they are countersuing Preston for. So we'll see how that goes. Now that the registration has gone through and Ethan actually owns that trademark, this makes it far more difficult for Preston to defend himself against those charges,
Yeah, which is just great.
which is, fucking fabulous.
Big Daddy says, joke's on Preston. He's throwing all this money at a lawsuit for a trademark on a brand that is utterly worthless.
Yes.
Yes.
That is why you'll see now Ethan is putting Comicsgate. He has new apparel. Not only does it have Comicsgate emblazoned on it, but it's also on the labels themselves. So, like, product of Comicsgate, right? I mean, he's covering all of his bases as far as this is concerned. So, we'll see if he has Comicsgate TM on Wrecked Planet, because that's I would assume, would be the most logical place for it to be since he owns the trademark for comic books. But I have no idea.
Yeah, I guess
No
I
idea.
guess we will see, guys.
We will find out.
Just look at that
There goes
JDA. Finatra says LOL. Oh, but I think that's in reference to Bubba Fett said, shh, Big Daddy, don't tell Finatra that. Oh, and then Finatra says LOL because he was lurking.
He did say hello first.
Oh, did he?
Yes, he said hello somewhere along there. I saw him show.
It didn't show up on my end. He was not lurking, guys. I take it back.
I told you.
All right. Well, I mean, it didn't come up on my end, but yeah. So now we're going to be talking about we're going to be moving away from CG in this stream.
And talking
about Logan Paul. You guys might remember him as the guy that filmed Suicide Forest in Japan.
Yeah.
Which everybody said was in bad taste, and I agree. I know that this isn't the topic we're talking about, but I do gotta say, I don't find it nearly as disgusting as using the place as, like, a tourist attraction. Like, if what Logan Paul did there was bad, I think Japan is way more in the wrong, but that's aside.
That is a little twisted. That is a little twisted.
Right?
Oh, he was laughing at the little JDA tiptoeing across the screen.
Oh, that's funny. I'm glad you like it. I fucking love
every
it.
time.
Yeah, I fucking love that
Every
little.
time.
He's just walking on his tiptoes. But But yeah, right. Like that is a little like how are you gonna get mad? You guys use it as a tourist attraction. That's like a million times gross. But what he did was
Well,
also gross. But like it is worse in my opinion. But anyways,
I
that's
I
not the
I
topic.
know Jake Paul for his really shitty boxing skills and all of those boxing matches that he should not have won. That's just me.
Yeah. So Logan Paul was part of some crypto stuff, and let's just take a listen because it's gonna be way better than any way I can I guess
Explain it.
explain it. Yeah.
Logan Paul just launched CryptoZoo, his latest crypto project, and I need to get you up to speed. Basically, it's looking like what happens when you give a 5-year-old some Photoshop, some photos mashed together, and somehow they sell it for millions of dollars. Now, in some ways, this might actually be more embarrassing than Dink Doink, Logan's last project, and that's really saying something. Let's just get into it. Some of you will want to judge Logan Paul after I tell you what I found out, but I need you to cut him some slack. It's not easy paying 4% taxes in Puerto Rico. The pandemic has truly hit everyone. Logan's hurting, and he needs the extra cash. So I need you to keep that in mind while we talk about his latest project. So look, I'm going to make an in-depth video on this, but this is like a first look at CryptoZoo, Logan Paul's newest project. Like I said, it's hot off the heels of Dink Doink, which cratered almost immediately, losing millions of dollars and losing Logan as, I guess, their ambassador. But never to let fans' losses hold him down, Logan immediately has pivoted to his latest project, being CryptoZoo. And I'm going to be honest, Logan at this point isn't carrying a lot of water with me when it comes to crypto. Like when you're the guy behind this, Ding Doink, you're my favorite coin. When you're behind that, your next crypto projects are going to carry a certain scammy vibe. But almost immediately, Logan said that this time, it's different. This is a project he believes in. It wasn't his friend's project this time. It was his. And it wasn't even a project at all. It was a game that could earn you money.
I'm excited to launch my game.
You keep using and you just did it again. You keep using a word there. Game. You're not using like a project. It's a game.
It's a game. It's a really fun game that makes you money.
Now you might be wondering, how's it possible to earn money from a game? Well, let me try to break it down for you. This is how it was supposed to work. You started by buying this crypto token called Zoo, which is their in-game currency, and you use Zoo coins to then buy egg NFTs, which you can then hatch to become animals. You then can breed those two animals to become hybrid animals. For example, if you breed a gorilla and a kitten, you get a Gore Kitty. And the more rare the NFT, the higher the daily yield of Zoo tokens that animal earns you every day. Theoretically, it works like almost like passive income. You can then burn your animal NFTs to release the Zoo they earned back to you, and from there, you can invest it into eggs or just cash out. Now, I'll admit, this all sounds very enticing. Handmade art, a fun game that can earn you money, and one of the biggest influencers in the world backing it. You might think, how can I lose? Which is why when people were told all you had to do to play was buy an egg, people spent millions. Just on the first launch between ETH and Zoo, people bought $2.5 million worth of eggs in the first day. And did I mention the game hadn't even been launched yet? All people were buying was the marketing and the promises. And it wasn't just the NFTs they bought either. The Zoo token also skyrocketed in value, reaching a $2 billion market cap pre-game launch, right? The trading volume was in the tens of millions of dollars per day. But as the game got closer to release, the CryptoZoo team started releasing the first ever photos of these animals. And come to find out, this handmade art story wasn't really true. It was actually Adobe stock photos mashed together. This was the sort of first red flag of this project. We spent $1 million on development. I couldn't get this out of my head. You know, is he lying? There's no way he expects people to believe he spent it on art. So wait, maybe he spent it on blockchain stuff, right? That's what I thought. But then I audited the smart contract, and it's not handmade at all. It's not even original. It's what's called a fork, a copy of, some other code that exists out there. One of them is called Floki Shib X, which launched before it. So where'd this $1 million go? I didn't understand. And Logan just kept repeating this claim.
We've put hundreds of thousands of dollars in it. Personally, the whole team, $1 million.
Even their community manager, Ben Roth, promised people, after Hatch Day, things will take a turn for the 180. So I put Ben Roth on the board too. I needed to know all the characters in CryptoZoo. And I waited. And finally, on November 3rd, 2021, Ben Roth turned out to be right. Things did take a turn on Hatch Day, only for the worse.
There was no way to claim your yield. There never was.
Hold on. The core mechanic of CryptoZoo, that you can make money with these stupid animals, didn't even work on launch day. And still, to this day, a year later, still does not work, is what the investors are saying. Well, apparently they also made it so you could buy them with Ethereum. And on the day of selling, about half of these purchases took place with Ethereum. Only it turns out for the people who spent ETH, not only did the yield part of it not work, did the NFTs not pay you, you also couldn't even hatch them. Wow. So on launch day, basically nothing worked. And a year later, that's still true. Now, after this was discovered, the price of Zoo fell 63% in just 24 hours. And at this point, Logan Paul basically goes silent on CryptoZoo. No more podcast mentions, no more saying he handmade art. CryptoZoo already got millions in investments, but Logan only speaks in the Discord twice over the next year to say, quote, sober, currently shaking my head, and yo.
Yo.
Sober. Like, okay, dude.
Yeah, all
right.
right. That's,
But what
that's-
about the
that's
money from
nice.
the investors? Anyway,
Yeah,
and
Yep.
it gets more wild, guys.
it really
It
does
really,
get kind of
really
crazy.
does.
Things didn't work out. Things didn't work out. We all get that. But to continuously lie, lead people on, hype people up, to put more money in, all the while in the background, things are going down, things are hitting the fan, and you've left us holding the bag.
There's a lot of shady characters in the crypto space. I'm learning all of it. We had an issue with CryptoZoo where our lead developer took the code that he made, fled to Switzerland, and like held it hostage for $1 million. Like behind the scenes drama that took a stick and stuck it in the spokes of my wheels.
He literally never paid me anything at all, ever. I never was paid. And, we got to a point when I was working on it where I just realized they were just going to try to steal all of my work and not pay me. And so I took all the source code private. And I just kind of, we spent a month just trying to negotiate and get something figured out where I would finally get paid. Because, I'm, on my end, I have a team of 30 engineers. So I'm burning $50,000 a week on building this thing. And the only thing they brought to the table were a bunch of Photoshop JPEGs.
According to him, they negotiated a $1 million payday for this whole project. And from the second I heard that, I thought, oh, that's interesting because Logan claims he spent $1 million on this whole thing. And this developer saying he's owed $1 million on this project. Now, I didn't want to just take one person's word for it, so I later confirmed with another developer who worked for something called the Blockchain Center that he also hadn't been paid.
We've been paid nothing. I would have loved to have Zoo, but I don't have any.
So that's multiple sources working on the CryptoZoo team project who were not paid. Why not just pay the dev team what you publicly said you kind of already paid them? Why not pay for a game that now isn't launched and now investors are so angry about? Why not pay when you already made millions from minting the eggs on this game? Well, this is where things get even stranger because right when I was ready to pin everything on Logan, and believe me, he is at fault, I was speaking to the Z developer, and I heard a name that I hadn't heard before.
I basically came in with Eddie, and Eddie promised me 5% of the tokens and $1 million. He literally never paid me.
Wait a second. Who's Eddie? So the guy's name, I put it together, must be Eddie Ibanez. Turns out he was managing the developers. What's this random guy doing in Logan Paul's project? And who is he? Who is Eddie Ibanez? To begin answering the question of who Eddie is, I decided to take a deep dive. I started by looking through all the news articles I could on Eddie, where I found out he graduated from MIT, and from there became a data scientist and cybersecurity expert, and used that technical background to win a Super Bowl for the Eagles. And there were videos on him too, which all painted him as brilliant and extremely accomplished.
Yes, hi, my name's Eddie Ibanez. I'm a father of three, lead developer here at CryptoZoo.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We met up with Adam Robb, the reporter who's been investigating Eddie Ibanez for a while now. And I wanted to know, what did Adam think of him when they first met?
I wasn't quite sure what to make of him. Based on what I knew about him, he was a MIT grad who went on to work for the CIA and the Defense Department, and I didn't want to waste his time. And it wasn't long after I sat down that I realized he was wasting my time.
Can you tell me about some of the lies Eddie told you?
Eddie has told me so many lies over the course of my 2 interviews with him, and the first lie he told me is probably the oldest lie that he's told so many people, which is that he's an orphan. I found a video of Eddie and his wife making rice pudding on a Fox and Friends segment on Fox News, and Eddie's wife Jackie explained that she learned the recipe from Eddie's mother.
So in that picture, you've got Jackie Ibanez. You know her, along with her husband Eddie and her 2 little girls. You love rice pudding. Why is this a family recipe?
Okay, so Eddie's mom made this rice pudding once.
And Eddie's whole backstory from here kind of falls apart as well. How could he have been recruited to a government agency out of MIT if he never went to MIT? If this is all seeming crazy to you, you might ask yourself, who would believe all this? And this is where Eddie shines. He kind of had a gift for getting people to believe in the lies he told, especially super rich and powerful people for some reason. Like take, for instance, this story, him winning the Super Bowl for the Philadelphia Eagles. He managed to convince the owner of the New York Yankees that it was true, Barry Klarberg, who completely bought into it without question and told the same story later in a college seminar.
So a month before the launch of CryptoZoo, I got on the phone with Jeff Levin, Logan Paul's manager. And after he spoke fondly of Eddie and his work, I confronted him about some of Eddie's lies, including how he didn't work for the NFL. Jeff told me he doesn't know much about the NFL, but he knows about the business world. And Chris Birch and Todd Morley vouched for Eddie. And so Jeff and Logan were going to continue working with him. Have you ever verified that anything Eddie said about himself is true?
We verified that it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely talk to people.
Okay.
And his friends and and people that he said he has relationships with, which we've confirmed them for sure.
Okay, because I had trouble with some of that, like with the NFL, like saying that, like, no, we've never worked with him, and that kind of thing. But you've had
the NFL saying that?
Yeah.
Like who at the NFL?
The comms teams for the Eagles and the Dolphins, and then the people specifically that he named that he said he worked with.
Got it. I don't know necessarily the football stuff.
Okay.
I don't have relationships in the football world.
Sure.
But in the business world, we've definitely, talked to multiple people.
Like Todd and Chris, and they backed him.
Correct.
Now, I started to reach out for comments about this because obviously this is a huge deal. But when I did, I got a call from somebody new, someone with a different perspective that I hadn't heard from before. Jake, the Crypto King. He's been involved with some of Logan's projects in the past, like Pokemon, for example. He was called the collectibles guru a few years ago. Nowadays, he goes by Crypto King, and he's an advisor for the CryptoZoo project. So let's add him to the conspiracy board. But the question is, what did he have to say? I took a call with him, and he mostly wanted to talk off the record. But when I pressed him, he was willing to at least put one thing on the record for me. Right. One more thing about Eddie before we get off of him. We actually...
The biggest reason it failed, in my opinion.
Okay.
Because I don't want it to ever be thought that Logan's the reason it failed. He's not. Logan wasn't smart enough for what he tried to build. And then when it was built and was failing, didn't have the ability to correct it and to save face and reputation. It was more convenient to pull out than to be associated with a failing project that the dev rocked. So I could put that one sentence on the record.
Well, that is certainly emphatic. Crypto King says it's all Eddie's fault. And this is a nice, neat theory for us. Eddie ruined everything because, yeah, Eddie is a liar. So it does seem to explain how these developers got screwed. But this theory doesn't fit all the facts because Eddie was kicked off the team months ago. And still, the game is not working, despite Logan claiming they were going to go back and fix all the problems.
Huh. Okay. You there, Vicky? She's not, guys. All right.
Sorry, I was coughing again.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, so those are all the main players. You've got, of course, Logan Paul, his manager, Jeff Levine, the developer manager, Eddie Ibanez. Fucking A. The developer who is named Zach Kelling. And then, of course, the Crypto King. How do you fucking take anybody seriously who goes by the Crypto King? When just a couple of years ago, he was the collectible card dude.
I don't know. Like
You know? Okay, I
not
get
any
it. That
more
$5
silly
million
than BitBoy. So
or like the $5 million Pokemon card deal was put together by the Crypto King.
was it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Same guy.
huh. That's like
Yeah.
really big news. Else, but like it's the only one that ever sold for that much, and it's like
Yeah.
maybe it wasn't
Exactly.
actually worth that much. I mean, it's worth a lot, but anyways,
Yeah.
yeah. All right.
So this is where the scheming and scamming actually kind of takes place.
Yeah, this one's a little longer, guys, but this has a lot of information, and we get to the bottom of things.
Welcome to part 3. What is the truth? And who's to blame? We're going to start by going through leaked text messages of the CryptoZoo team to understand all of their motivation. We have to start in March of 2021, 6 months before the token even launched. Our 4 suspects, Logan, Crypto King, Eddie, and Jeff, are in a group chat discussing CryptoZoo, which starts as a copy of something else. Quote, I like imitating CryptoKitties. Logan replies, I agree. And pretty early on, it became clear this was all about money, how they were going to sell this thing to investors. In fact, Crypto King said he thought it was worth at least $20 million in only 6 months, saying the range is insane. $20 to $210 million. It's beautiful wherever we land. Eddie jumped in at this point and talked about how he could sell the project as an investment to a friend, Matt Higgins, saying, quote, he has to spend that $350 million somewhere. Why not us? And Logan says, I love that idea. Crypto King, I'm in. And of course, you have Jeff saying, let's go. So you can see right there, they wanted to sell this game before it had even launched. Now later, Eddie amends the list of investors and says, quote, investors will be Gary Vee, Todd Morley, James Altucher, Ryan Kavanaugh, and others confirmed on my end. Supposedly, they had $100 million of investment interest. Now, I actually went to some of these investors and asked if this was true, and the one person who responded denied it, Ryan Kavanaugh. Quote, nope, not even a little bit. So this looks like it could be yet another lie from Eddie Ibanez, but either way, it looks like there was more issues than just finding investors because the team wanted to pre-sell tokens, and not everyone was sure it would be legal. Jake the Crypto King mentions that, quote, if we have a pre-sale, it opens us up to SEC issues. And Jeff agrees and says, don't want to do anything that brings the SEC eyeballs. Logan argues everyone does pre-sale with coins. Eddie agrees. He says, you absolutely can do it. I have the SEC down, private and pre-sale. Now, do a pre-sale, make millions, but you have these potential legal issues. Don't do it, you make less money. So Crypto King comes up with a middle solution. He says, if we can't sell, no pre-sale. We can still trade them in the liquidity pool. And this is the start of a new disaster. They bought the tokens on the open market right after launch, but they tried to get clever with it because they didn't actually announce that they were launching this coin at all. They stealth launched it on June 11th and didn't announce this token through Logan until August 18th, meaning they had all that time to silently buy up as much of the supply at a steep discount as they wanted. And the idea here was that doing this, the team could get these tokens extremely cheaply, which is kind of like a pre-sale, but without all the SEC troubles. And Crypto King makes this clear on June 7th when he says, quote, launch of the liquidity pool is where huge money will be made because you get in cheaper. And then says, we, the team, begin buying out the liquidity pool. Once the team has exhausted funds for the liquidity pool buying, we send the contract address to friends, family, investors who want to be able to get in. So obviously the plan is we buy first, then we give it to our close friends and family, and then maybe the public eventually, right? And even the day before, Crypto King reminds everyone, Quote, Zoo Day is tomorrow. I highly recommend everyone get a few $100 to a few $1,000 in Zoo when it goes live. It will likely 10 to 1,000x. So that was their plan. Rather than doing a pre-sale, they were going to do this stealth launch and hopefully get tokens cheaply the same way, but without all the legal troubles. On stealth launch day, this is where things first started to go wrong for the team. At first, everything seemed to go normal. The team sat in a circle and literally bought it out as planned. But the next day, Crypto King says something odd. Quote, a bot is playing with our token. Kind of cool to watch them work. But he doesn't mention who this bot is. And he also says the asshole finished selling, but doesn't mention who that is. Now, Jeff, Logan's manager, replies upset. He says, how do we prevent someone doing what they just did again? We went from a $130 million to $26 million market cap in 2 hours. It's not cool to watch. Logan jumps in. Yeah, wait, how did that happen? And he also says, what asshole? How did anyone get this token except for us and none of us sold? Crypto King deflects the question by saying, my buyer pushed it back up to $40 million. And Logan says, no, bro, F your buyer. Explain to me what just happened and how there were 30 token holders. And Jake tries to explain that this was just traders and bots happening to find the token. But Logan says only 5 of us knew about it. Jake says, well, many people chase volume and new tokens. And to some extent, he's kind of right. But Logan replies, cap. He doesn't believe it. Quote, I can't be the only one who thinks that's too incredibly convenient. Like someone was tipped off, because Crypto King was acting very strange. He says, we created $40 million out of thin air. This is a success. Logan replies, this nonchalance worries me. F 40 million. It was at 120 million, which again, it's all about the money with these guys. But truth be told, I did agree that Crypto King's attitude seemed strange in these texts. I mean, he's not wrong that bots are a thing. Traders are a thing. But it sounded like he didn't want anyone to look into it. So, naturally, I looked into it because there were bots, but there's also unusual human activity during this time. So I tracked the 5 biggest buyers of this Zoo coin. And lo and behold, this is what I found. Logan was one of the biggest buyers, which is what you'd expect, but he wasn't the biggest. In fact, 2 of the biggest wallets seem to be associated with Crypto King himself. I thought Crypto King was a small part of this team. And so to get more info on this, I actually got access to an internal meeting note from the day of June 11th, which they called Zoo Day. We see that 5 founders bought in. They apparently were, quote, trading in circles until each person maxed out. But on the list of buyers and how much they spent are only 4 people, when we know 5 people bought. We have Danny, Logan's assistant, for 20K, Logan Paul for 100K, Jeff at 100K, and Eddie at 100K, but Crypto King is nowhere to be found. And yet, on the blockchain, I have him putting in $200,000 worth. And this number, by the way, seemingly is confirmed in a conversation I had with Crypto King, where he said, my 200K investment. Crypto King had a relatively small role in this whole project. He was the advisor, but it wasn't that big of a deal. Like you can see from the internal meeting notes, they have a breakdown of who's getting what in terms of founder tokens. And like Logan Paul's getting 51%, Eddie's getting 30%, Jeff's getting 10%. Jake's only getting 5% of tokens, but he has the most of these like stealth launch tokens, which makes no sense. And it got me thinking that maybe what explains this suspicious behavior around like, oh, don't worry about who was buying at the time of the launch. Maybe that's explained because perhaps no one knew that he was buying up large parts of the token supply. Logan didn't accuse Crypto King of being a scam. It was the other way around. Crypto King told Logan Paul he was a scammer. And the question is, why? Well, to answer that, we have to go from June, the stealth launch date, to September 1st, the official launch date of CryptoZoo.
September 1st, cryptozoo.co.
Now, the day of the launch was a bit strange because you might think, well, they already have a token, right? But the first thing they did was actually create a new Zoo token with a different code, but the same name. And they actually airdropped all the holders of the first Zoo token with an identical amount of those coins on the second Zoo token. So you might be wondering, why did they do that? Well, maybe it's to change the smart contract, but maybe it's because of what they did do. They blacklisted some of the holders. In other words, they didn't airdrop to everyone, including Jake the Crypto King. They excluded his wallets so it couldn't get these Zoo coins. Jake texts the group about this the next day, saying, quote, "The Zoo team made a major error this weekend. They chose not to communicate, mint a new token, and airdrop it to whatever wallets they determined fit. This decision came from Eddie and Logan, and I had no part in it. 11,250 wallets before the airdrop, under 11,000 after. They chose to blacklist and ban over 200 wallets. Now, who those wallets are, I have no idea." But he continues, quote, "As a founder like Logan, Jeff, Eddie, and Danny, I had purchased a large quantity of tokens. 5+ of my wallets had been blacklisted from the original team's buys." Now, I don't know why he had 5+ wallets there, but okay. He says 80+ billion Zoo tokens were confiscated from me today without any communication. So, wow. That's why Crypto King accused Logan of stealing from him or scamming. It's because he was frozen out of a lot of his wallets. And then we get to the text you guys all know. He says, "Logan, you stole $40 million. You're a scammer. You're a con artist, all that stuff. You betrayed your community. The reality is you aren't that guy." And Logan responds, "Oh, Jake, trust me, bro. I am that guy." Cue the arms of an angel.
I just really, really enjoy that part of the video.
I do too.
You aren't that guy. And Logan,
I am
I am that
that guy.
guy. Q in the arms of an angel.
This whole thing was structured so misleadingly from the beginning. I have to talk to you a bit about it because you might think that these tokens were the only tokens they had, but it's not even true. In the distribution section of Zoo's white paper, they say there's 2 trillion tokens, and a quarter of that are allocated to development, marketing, and founders. Those aren't even the tokens we're talking about right now, because they claim that those tokens were locked up for 6 months, and then afterwards, 10% was unlocked every month. And if that's true, there would be no reason for these funds to be blacklisted, right? Why would you blacklist something that would be locked up? And the answer is because, well, the founders had more than one set of tokens. Not only did they supposedly have these founder tokens that were locked up and couldn't be sold, these stealth launch tokens were different from that. It's like a whole different thing. And the tokens that they bought, that all of these guys bought, they could sell at basically any time because they weren't locked up, which is a massive problem. And this fact was explicitly laid out in their meeting notes with only one rule. They say, quote, "No selling until $200 million market cap, and don't impact the market more than 3%, and not impact the market more than 10% in a day." And by the way, this is basically conspiracy to manipulate a market. You know, they're literally having insider rules for how to sell. But we're gonna look past that, right? Because these rules eventually kind of changed. A text from Logan's manager, Jeff Levin, came to the group chat, Zoo Founders, saying, "Guys, new and absolute rules. No one is to sell or transfer any Zoo. Logan's gonna make the call when we can make moves." And Logan replies, "Your tokens do not leave your wallet. This is a game." Now, that all sounds well and good. Don't sell your tokens, but the reality was, they're just kind of trusting each other because these tokens that they're talking about, they're unlocked. They're not locked up, and they could sell it at any time. And I guess the question on my mind is that why Crypto King's tokens were blacklisted? Because they thought he would sell? I've tracked the wallets of the entire team and identified the largest seller of Zoo in the team. And it wasn't Jeff. It wasn't Danny. It wasn't even Logan. It was Crypto King. Crypto King sold, by my calculations, millions of dollars. And I know what you're thinking, how's that possible, right? I thought his tokens were blacklisted the day of the official launch. How could he sell that much? Well, the answer is that not all of his tokens were blacklisted. He had even more tokens behind the scenes. And what's worse, the CryptoZoo team actually gave him back a lot of his blacklisted tokens, which I guess you can see as a good thing or a bad thing because he then turned around and sold those tokens, right? And from my blockchain analysis across his blacklisted tokens he got back and the tokens that he had squirreled away the whole time, he ended up making $6 million. He did this by sending out tokens from these larger wallets to dozens of smaller wallets, selling it, and then sending the money to final cash out wallets. So I used those final wallets to calculate the amount he made. I wanted to give him a chance to defend himself. So I got on a call with Crypto King, and here's what he said when I finally revealed that I knew he had sold.
I'm gonna change this whole fucking story. Yeah, I'll go on the record for you, and yes, I'm gonna show you the text message that say we can sell at these ascending market caps, and literally, I'm gonna 100%. It sounds like your biggest issue with me is that I sold, and if that's your biggest issue with me, that's the truth. Like, I did sell. I didn't sell $6 million worth. That's going to be other wallets, but that's probably not going to be able to be me being able to be proven, except for them saying, can you send BNB to all these different wallets for me? Which that I'll be able to show you that I was giving BNB to the whole team. I will also be able to show you that I was a 5% holder of the Zoo tokens that I was promised to be given over the 3-month period, was never given. I can also show you that I was frozen out and was never given the 15 billion tokens back that I paid for in cash.
Okay.
I'll show you all of those things on the record, and then you can also say that I did sell, which is also true.
Yep.
As long as it's accompanied with he was a founder that was supposed to be given 5% of the project and was never given the token or paid, worked for almost a year on the project. As long as that goes in with it, then at least that tells my side of the story so people understand that it's not like I was trying to rug a project. It's like I put $250,000 into a project plus 6 months of time, and the founder never did anything he said he was going to do, and then hired a bunch of devs that didn't do what they were going to do. And every time I gave advice, the advice was I was told to fuck off. So it can be that story, or it can be he sold all this amount and he got in early. Well, yeah, that's like 1% of it though.
Even if you take him at his word that he didn't make the full 6 million, he admits to me later that it might be a pretty close guess. He tells me via text, quote, I don't care if you tell people I sold a few million and leave it at that. Well, okay, $6 million, a few $1 million, it's millions of dollars, right?
You can say the timing was bad and it was inappropriate to sell, but the reality is I bought tokens open market and sold them open market. So there was nothing illegal about that. Ethically, arguable. The rest that Logan did to me was ethically wrong and illegal.
To say not everyone from the founders did sell. For example, Jeff, Logan's manager, to my knowledge, never sold. Neither did Logan Paul, which was a huge surprise. But you know who did sell? Eddie Ibanez. The guy who didn't pay the initial devs, the supposed MIT orphan? Yeah, from what I could see, his initial wallet got a ton of Zoo, sent it to a bunch of smaller wallets, and then sold off, kind of like Crypto King. And for my calculations, he made about $1.7 million. But we're not done with the money just yet, because we still need to talk about the eggs. Remember, we talked about how they profited from ZooCoin, but they also made millions from eggs. According to their own internal meeting notes, they plan to make about $3 million selling these eggs for 0.1 ETH apiece. And that's not far from what I calculated they actually did make, which was about $2.5 million. In the meeting notes, they say they're going to clear expenses and then do payouts. But pay out who? They don't say. And these expenses are referencing an earlier note suggesting Eddie and Logan had both spent $300,000 each, which I'll say is not $1 million. But okay, we'll give it to them, right? So they got paid back their $600,000, but where does the rest of the money go? Well, on the Ethereum side, there's one payout for $364,000 to one wallet and another $1 million to another. Both are Coinbase addresses, so we don't know who exactly that is, but clearly someone on the team made a lot of money from these NFT egg sales that do not work. And on the Binance Smart Chain side, where they also made money selling eggs, the Zoo that was spent was supposed to be set aside for 50% to be burned, which they did, but the other 50% was supposed to be allocated for wildlife charities and crypto zoo development. Now, neither seems to have happened because all the money is in a wallet that the team still controls, so there are open questions about, where that money's going to go and where the Ethereum money went. Did it go to Jake? Did it go to Logan? Did it go to Jeff? Did it go to Eddie? We don't know. It's hard to assign exact proportions of blame because if you focus on any one person, you kind of miss why this project failed. CryptoZoo failed because they never built a functioning game that they promised. Really, the number one problem, even bigger than people selling millions of dollars of tokens, was that they never paid the developers on time, as boring as that is. And as a result, the investors not only got rugged for millions of dollars, which is a problem, but they just didn't get the core thing they had bought from the beginning, which was not a crypto project, but something different.
I'm excited to launch my game.
You keep using and you just did it again. You keep using a word there, game. You're not using like a...
I love how confused he sounds by that word. You keep using that word there. Game.
Game.
What is that?
It's a pyramid.
Game.
It's a pyramid scheme,
Project.
but it's a game.
What was that word? Game? You said it again.
It's a game.
It's a game.
It's a game.
It's a really fun game that makes you money.
That's it. That to me is the biggest scam in all of this. Yes, it's a huge problem. People stole millions of dollars, but it's a symptom of the larger issue, which is people didn't actually care about the game or this, whatever you want to call it. They just cared about the money. And this is ultimately what happens when you have an influencer LARPing as a businessman. It's what happens when you have a liar LARPing as a developer. And it's what happens when you have a shady crypto guru LARPing as a crypto king. You end up with a mess. And in my personal opinion, a fraud as well. I have reached out to everyone involved. I've tried to get all of their statements on things. So far, no one has taken accountability or offered to refund the victims at all. They're all hiding, pretending these victims don't even exist.
And yeah, a game.
A game.
What is that? You keep using that word, game. But there is a part 4, guys, but not from CoffeeZilla, the investigator we were just watching.
So I do. Oh, sorry.
Logan Paul responded.
Before you play that, I recommend everybody head over when we're all done, sometime over the next couple of days. Go watch CoffeeZilla's videos about this. We did chop it up, and it lost a little bit of nuance.
Yeah, the videos are
But
really good.
and they're not that long. I think it's maybe 90 minutes tops for all 3 of them.
Yeah, put together. They're about
Put
30 minutes
together.
each. But I mean, I thought I was gonna like really hate watching them, but I actually
Yeah,
really, yeah, it was
his
really
pro-
good.
his production values are just fantastic.
Yeah.
He tells a really good story. He really knows how to weave the narrative.
Yeah. And if somebody could post the link to his channel in the chat, I'll make sure to put it in the description as soon as we're done with this stream. To
Yeah.
anybody that's watching this on replay. But let's go ahead and see what Logan Paul had to say in a response to CoffeeZilla.
CoffeeZilla, like many on this platform, you have successfully used my name for views and money. Coffee, you took a shot at my reputation. So in this video today, I'm gonna be defending myself with facts, something that you have gotten in the habit of twisting as you continue to morph from an investigator to a gossip channel. You
Okay, what's really funny about that is what he then proceeds that with.
See, CoffeeZilla tried to work with law enforcement in the past, but his work was described as not anchored to truth and often speculative.
And he provides 0 sources.
None.
He is a lopsided journalist with an agenda, and he's nothing more than the Keemstar of crypto and finance. Coffee, you interviewed the developer who stole the game code, fled to Switzerland, and held it hostage for $1 million. Well, his name is Zach Kelling. Surely, as the internet detective that you proclaim to be, you would know that he spent time in prison for multiple felonies, one for aggravated robbery, armed robbery at a liquor store, and the other for, surprise, obstructing the legal process. I can see why you kept him anonymous.
But there's kind of an update on that, right?
Yeah, there was a article on Kotaku.
Which, granted, it is from Kotaku, so take it with a grain of salt.
Grain of salt. However, in his video, Paul displays papers purporting to be official documents from the Johnson County Court in Kansas, referencing Kelling's alleged criminal charges. Kotaku couldn't independently verify these facts, and the Johnson County District Court rep for the records office said that, quote, there were no public records, end quote, for Zach Kelling. So Paul brings this up to cast aspersions on Kelling's character and to insinuate that the things Kelling said in CoffeeZilla's video, that he had 30 engineers working under him, was completely false. So far, I haven't found anything that actually independently verifies Logan Paul's claim.
Yeah, but also, let's say it is true. So your, like, developer was a fucking criminal? Like, the person you hired was a fucking criminal? That's who was supposed to make this game for you? And also, like, that doesn't disprove anything that the alleged criminal developer said.
No.
All we know now is you were stupid enough to hire a fucking criminal who with like a history of, criminality, not just like a one-time offender, but like a multi-time offender. Like, yeah, that makes you look worse, Logan Paul. It doesn't really make CoffeeZilla look bad.
No.
Like, you fucking, like, what an idiot.
Wouldn't someone with journalistic integrity know their credible source had not only an agenda, but a fondness for orange jumpsuits? What type of idiot would work with an unsavory individual like Zach Kelling? I guess that's what I get for trusting the team that I relied on to vet and manage Eddie's hiring process, who has turned out to be a professional con man that I have since learned fooled billionaires, the Mormon Church, the owner of the New York Yankees, and now me.
Wait. So a second criminal. A second criminal. Oh, wow.
A second con artist, right? So, he didn't vet the guy that hired the quote criminal. Okay.
The guy that hired the criminal was a criminal. He didn't vet either. Like,
yeah. So this is not, this is not exactly inspiring.
Yeah. What's funny is that like this either shows that Logan Paul is so incompetent you shouldn't trust him with your money, or this was on purpose and this was fraudulent and you shouldn't trust him with your money. Either way, it's the same outcome, Don't invest in anything this guy touches. It's just complete shit.
Yeah.
You can't even hatch? No, I'm telling you, it's just a picture. You're kidding! You can't hatch?
You're kidding! You can't hatch?
You can't hatch?
Yeah, 1 second of research would prove that to be false, as you can definitely hatch eggs and even breed your animals. And as you pointed out in your fine print, cross-hatching was available on ETH at one point.
Okay, so what he was saying, what CoffeeZilla was saying, wasn't that you could never hatch ever, but this certain method of hatching didn't work at launch and still doesn't work at launch. And even what Logan Paul is pointing out, this little CryptoZoo mods tell me cross-chain hatching at one point worked, but was so buggy it was shut down. So yeah, this guy can't hatch.
Yeah, if you bought with E, you couldn't hatch. You could only hatch if you bought with the Zoo coin. Apparently.
So, like, it sounds like you can't hatch. It's
can't
fucking
hatch.
Factual,
And he's admitting that you can't hatch, but somehow
You mean
he
you
thinks
can't
he's
hatch?
saying the exact opposite. Yeah, it was shut down. It was available at one point, so obviously you could hatch.
You keep using that word game. Anyways.
But you perpetuated the opposite as truth with your chest out. And surely a real internet detective would not break criminal and civil laws in trying to get information, right? So why have you allowed the illegal recording of Jeff's phone call without his permission? And then more like an internet criminal, post it online.
There's nothing illegal about posting it online. Like, if that was the case, every, like, news media outlet would be, like, charged up the ass.
Yeah.
For so many different infractions. Like, it will only be illegal of the person who did record it, and that's only if they don't live in a one-party consent state.
Yet the whole one-party, two-party consent stuff is really muddy, despite what people claim. It's different if you're both in two-party consent states, but if somebody isn't, if one of the parties is in a one-party consent state,
and that's the party that
it's more
records.
ass.
I mean,
Yeah,
but
it's
that's the
more
party
ass
that
of-
records. Chances are they're gonna get away because the other
They're gonna get away
state
with it.
doesn't have jurisdiction over them.
Yeah,
more than likely.
exactly.
Yeah. Which, like, and he wasn't even the person that recorded the phone call. He was
Well,
just
he recorded.
giving. Yeah, he
did record
recorded one, and turns out he lives in Texas, a one-party consent state. So
Yeah, the other one he just played, and so that has no No
Yeah.
bearing.
So Logan Paul is just once
Reaching.
again. Yeah, this was a major reach for sure.
Let's highlight some
Yeah.
He's reaching so far, he's gonna fall over.
things that you did point out. Crypto King Jake stole $6 million. Conman Eddie, lead developer, stole $1.7 million. Even
And these are both people that he hired, as well as that other developer that he claims is a criminal. These are 3 criminals now that he hired.
That he hired.
This isn't actually making him look any better. This is
No.
just god awful. What a terrible response.
after 12 months of work, you've still managed to overlook one crucial piece of information. See, even though I've said it's coming so many times, you've assumed that CryptoZoo isn't being made. Who are you to decide when the development timeline ends? I got everything stolen from me and our community, stopped promoting publicly as soon as I knew the extent of the internal issues, took all of the heat on social, and
Okay. So for 12 months, he took all of the heat on social from people blaming him for what's happened in this whole thing. And meanwhile, CoffeeZilla only released these videos 2 weeks ago. But for 12 months, people all over Twitter, all over social media, have been digging in at him for things like apologize to the people who got scammed with your lies. So just think about that.
you still published a defamatory hit piece fully knowing I was innocent.
A defamatory statement has to be something that ruins your reputation, your good standing reputation. And this was only 2 weeks ago that
Versus the entire year.
CoffeeZilla put out these videos. But for a whole 12 months, 1 year, it looks as though, and like, what an idiot. Like, you're gonna sue this guy for defamation. You should try to, like, show evidence that, like, throughout that whole year, up until 2 weeks ago, your reputation was unscathed. But this idiot gives evidence of the exact opposite. He shows it on screen that his reputation has been shit for the past year over this. What a fucking idiot. Like, he's ruined his, like, there was never a case, but he's literally shot himself.
Yeah. Well, if you watch CoffeeZilla's videos, like, he doesn't ever actually say that Logan Paul scammed people. Like, those words never come out of his mouth aside from being an opinion. Like, he states it's an opinion, and mostly he says that, they were all scamming each other.
And they were.
In his opinion. And they were.
And they were
right?
also trying to, like, kind of scam the customers, in, I guess, my opinion, although it looks to be just 100% undeniable fact. They were manipulating a market, and they were doing it off the backs of Logan Paul's fans and customers.
Yeah.
Like, what a scumbag. Like, anybody that's still a fan and customer of this guy,
So
clearly needs to rethink.
Eddie was scamming the customers, Logan Paul, and the developers, right? According to Logan Paul, the developer, Z, was scamming him. The Crypto King, it looks like he was scamming Eddie, Logan Paul, and the customers, right? I mean, they were all, Logan Paul looks like he was scamming Crypto King, and basically trying to manipulate it so the customers would have to pay more. So, I mean, that's what it all looks like. So who knows? I think this is all just a nasty piece of work.
Yeah, but so here, let's continue.
So you could enrich yourself in your $10 million studio. Sharp, but deeply unethical, dangerously misleading, and illegal. I suggest you use the money you got from pumping your Patreon to hire a good lawyer. You're gonna need it. And maybe we could have talked about this if you had reached out to me, personally, Not my manager, Jeff, who is not me, Steven.
Okay, I love this part. Like, what else is a manager for? Like, first of all, what's not, like, pointed out. Thank you, Shifter. But yeah, what Logan Paul doesn't point out is that he actually has CoffeeZilla blocked, right? So it's hard to get a hold of him, right? But secondly, like, what else is a manager for?
That's their manager's job, is to let you know that somebody is trying to talk to you about
like,
it.
let's say there's like a roll or a fight, then they want Logan Paul. Like, what's Logan Paul gonna do? Like, I'm sorry, I would have loved to have taken this roll or fight, but you didn't reach out to me personally. Not like you reach out to me, not my manager, me. Like, what else is a manager for? Like, they're there to vet the people trying to contact you, and get those people into contact with you. And like, so if your manager didn't tell you that CoffeeZilla tried to reach out twice for comment before these videos came out, you have a shit manager. And that's the only like way that you wouldn't know, is if your manager didn't tell you. So you should have known. But then again, this guy hires complete pieces of shit that, are clearly...
Based on his manager, it sounds like his manager was the one that was actually, like, hired Eddie. And then when he found out that Eddie was shifty, and a con man, didn't fire Eddie. They didn't, like, put the brakes on to look at shit and maybe, I don't know, fix stuff before the launch.
Yeah.
Eddie was the one who hired the developer, supposedly, but nobody bothered looking beyond, like, Eddie's slick talk.
Yeah, so, like, it's like, okay, so, not only has Logan Paul hired a con artist criminal who hired, like, a alleged felon, who stole $1 million from them, and then he also hired, fucking Crypto King, who stole, like, and was scheming too. He hired a manager who doesn't do his job, and like,
I think the manager needs to be fired.
Well, I think Logan Paul shouldn't be trusted to make decisions, even for himself.
True.
Because this is just, like, he was scheming, but he's also so dumb that he got scheming.
And scammed, yes.
Yeah, it's like, what a complete shit show, and what a complete idiot.
But the first time you did was on Christmas Eve, after you released your series, so you could rely on false statements and unreliable people used recklessly.
Unreliable people. He reached out to your manager for comment as well, and he is unreliable. So Logan Paul is 100% right here.
He even talked to Logan Paul's manager.
He did.
So what?
He did.
Did Logan Paul's manager never say, "Hey, this CoffeeZilla guy wants to talk to you. I'll talk to him."
I mean, his manager did talk to him.
"Hey, I talked to that CoffeeZilla guy. Don't worry about it. I covered our asses real tight."
Yeah,
You know?
but like, yeah, I mean, but he is
he
right
gonna
here. He
pretend
is
that he
right here.
didn't know?
CoffeeZilla relied on unreliable people, like his unreliable manager.
Is he gonna pretend? I mean, how can he stand there and pretend that he didn't know that CoffeeZilla was trying to get in touch with him when his own manager fucking talked to the dude?
Well, but his manager is clearly just terrible as well, right? So maybe his manager didn't tell him. Like that. I mean, that's a straight up fact. Like maybe, I mean, not a fact, but it's a valid. I mean, it could be true. I guess
If
is what I'm
it's
trying
true,
to say.
then his manager really needs to
Yeah, but look at look at who this guy hires.
I know, exactly.
So like, yeah, his manager's probably fucking terrible and should be fired. But
imagine these $1 million projects and nobody does a background check.
It's just wild.
Is something I find just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
The subject line was third request for comment. You led the charge to drive and monetize a narrative telling millions of people that I'm a fraud or I tried to scam my audience.
But he didn't lead the charge because his comments were only 2 weeks. I mean, his videos only came out 2 weeks ago, and for a fucking year, your dumbass fucking showed in this video, that was fucking dumb, that for a year people have been calling you a scammer and fraudulent, and that this thing was a scam. So how could he have led the charge? Like, you know?
Yeah.
That is patently false. If you want to come on Impulsive and talk about this, that's fine. You've denied my invitation multiple times. You're still invited. It can be a one-on-one. If not, we're going to handle this ourselves while we continue to build CryptoZoo, and I'll see you in court.
I made that, guys.
You imagine?
I can't.
It's
It's just
did,
wild.
Did Jeff write the script to that video? I mean, it's the most come on my channel. Come on my podcast and I'll monetize your ass. I mean, it's just like this fucked.
I thought he said that it wasn't, that it wouldn't be monetized.
No, I don't think he said that.
No.
You know, I just come on my channel where I'm in control, and
That
I
is
can
very
shut you
comic
down
straight.
and shut you off. And why don't you guys both come on my channel and we'll moderate?
Yeah, and we'll monetize because we'll get monetized pretty
'Cause
fast
we're
if
not.
we did that.
Yeah, we would get monetized pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
It's just tippy toes. It's just complete madness. Logan Paul, like, it's just completely. Like, first of all, he was. It very much looks like he was scheming, and he was trying to scam. But then on top of that, he was so dumb that he didn't realize that these scammer friends of his would scam him, and then he threatens lawsuits over things that it's just gonna get laughed out of court. I mean, he can. It's
he
just
can
gonna
file
get
suit.
left.
He can pay an attorney. He
he
can pull
can.
for himself.
Yeah.
That's fine.
But it's just gonna get laughed out of court. What a complete idiot and an asshole. Just a giant fucking asshole. Somebody pointed out that Logan Paul has to know that this lawsuit isn't gonna go anywhere. Logan Paul points out that CoffeeZilla painted him to be some type of evil super villain. And he knows that this lawsuit isn't going to go anywhere, but all he's trying to do probably is financially hurt CoffeeZilla, which is kind of evil villain like.
Yeah.
Like a way to really prove that you're not an evil villain by doing something very evil villain like. But once again, like, he might be an evil villain, but he's also incredibly dumb.
Yeah.
So, it's like a.
But as Big Daddy says, maybe Logan Paul can hire Ty Beard.
That would be a great team up.
That would just be so awesome.
Lester Dog says, if Ricada and Tug start covering the lawsuit, Logan Paul will win. They do have, yeah. But anyways, guys, I'm really fucking hungry.
Yeah.
And we've been going for an hour and 20 minutes. Not bad.
Wow. An hour 20.
Not bad.
That's a long time there, Dean.
It is. And little JDA's tired of tippy-toeing. He needs to rest. His short little legs just can't handle all that tippy-toeing, and neither can his tiny little tippy-toeing toes.
Yeah.
So, we're going to call it, guys.
But say that one more time.
Yeah, of course. The backwards is even better than the forwards. Like
the moonwalk tippy toe.
Yeah, the moonwalk tippy toes. That's great. And he's in Oakland Athletics colors, so that's even better.
Sorry, I just can't not laugh at it.
Yeah. So thank you all for showing up. Please share this stream out. Make sure to like. Make sure to check out CoffeeZilla's channel. Hopefully
Yes.
somebody posted it in the chat. I will add it to the description for
Jack
anybody.
Stafford did. Thank you very much.
Thank
Jack.
you, Jack Stafford. And yeah, I'll add it to the description for anybody watching this on playback. You all have a wonderful weekend. I work Saturdays and Sundays, so I won't.
Haha. I'm off on Sunday.
Fucking bitch.
Good night, everybody.
You fucking bitch.
Yep.
You just had to rub that in my fucking face. Anyways, good night, guys.
Have a fabulous weekend.
Vicky, I can't even say bye
Nope.
without you
I'm not
interrupting.
gonna let you, you fucking dick.
You fucking piece of shit. All right, guys. Y'all have a good night.